Yesterday here on China Take, we mentioned that China's film watchdog, that's the State Administration of Radio, Film and Television, or Sarft as it's more commonly known as, had been criticised by a film expert, quoted rather surprisingly by the state-owned Xinhua news agency. Now this criticism concerned overzealous censorship on the part of Sarft, and it was sparked off by the recent release of the latest James Bond movie, Skyfall, here in China 3 months later than originally scheduled. When the movie did appear, scenes involving the killing of a Chinese security guard and other scenes suggesting gambling and prostitution took place on Chinese territory, as well as a backstory about a character who was tortured by Chinese security forces, had all mysteriously disappeared. Of course, this is far from unusual, and very few overseas movies, and indeed many domestic ones, escape Sarft's scissors. Cloud Atlas, that's a science fiction film to be released here next week, has caused quite a bit of discussion. It's missing no less than 35 minutes of its original 170 or so. And going back further, Ang Lee's Lust Caution back in 2007 lost almost all of its erotic scenes and indeed in the process much of its sense. And even the innocuous Will Smith Karate Kid remake filmed here in China had scenes that Sarft deemed objectionable and which it deleted. China has no film rating system, which means that in theory all movies shown in theatres should be suitable for audiences of all ages. But just how do Chinese net users feel about Sarft's approach to choosing what it feels won't upset their sensitivities? Well, to hear what's being said in the online community, let's now join our researcher, Esther Dunn. Okay, Esther, Skyfall, this James Bond movie, took in nearly $5 million on its first day alone, so obviously certainly popular amongst Chinese moviegoers. What have they to say about the fact that this organisation, Sarft, feels that they can't handle the original version which was seen in other countries around the world?
Well, based on the comments I've seen, quite a few people didn't know anything about the cuts when they saw the film. Here is a poster on Weibo.com. I didn't know the film was censored until I saw the news this morning. Actually, my friend and I was surprised that there was no security guards on that skyscraper in Shanghai. Now I understand the part where the Chinese guard is killed was cut. Zhu Aman from Henan was also confused. The Chinese version said a woman joined a gang at the age of 12 or 13. Then it appeared later that some man bought her out. What? I was completely lost. Now I understand it wasn't a group of gangsters, but a group of prostitutes. Oh my God, they even changed the subtitles. And this poster, Tong Tong Johnny, isn't happy either, commenting, "It's not a complete story anymore. The beautiful woman standing on the left of Bond on the film poster seemed to be a very important character, but I don't even know how she died in the film." Jia Zuo Yangzhou Fu simply says, "So I have no other choice but to buy the pirated DVD. But not everyone is so upset." 逝水无情 on QQ.com says, "It makes little difference whether these scenes are cut or not. It's just a commercial film without any artistic value anyway." And this poster, 懒得喘气 is lone voice actually in favor of Sarft's work. "I support the cutting of those scenes. Every country has film censorship. I just can't understand why it's China's film censorship that's always criticized. Some US films do have scenes defaming other countries. What's the point of keeping that?"
Okay, well, apart from that last poster and his defamation concerns, it seems the majority of net users aren't too happy with the current version of film censorship in China. What do they think are the motivations behind Sarft's actions? And what kind of scenes do they think really are inappropriate for Chinese audiences?
Well, on this question, posters do have a lot to say. First and foremost, a lot of posters think a lot of the cuts are political and often have nothing to do with unacceptable sex or violence, reasons often cited by the authorities for censorship. Mo Lake had this take on QQ.com. "They call it film censorship, but it's not. They just delete everything they think is harmful to the government. Well, they have the power to decide what can and can't be seen, what can we do. But aren't they tired of relating everything to politics? Film is just film, okay?" But others point out that it's not all about politics. There also seems to be huge sensitivity about anything that could be seen as critical of China or Chinese people. For example, this poster on Sohu.com refers to the film Batman Begins. He says, "The part where Chinese policemen arrested Batman was completely deleted. And I heard it's because those actors didn't speak standard Mandarin. And another part about Batman needing China-made products for his helmet was cut because the film said some of the products were substandard. And of course, some see the lack of a film rating system as the problem. Google has this to offer. Some sex scenes are certainly not appropriate for kids, and some are too violent and bloody, while some are too insulting. So these have to be cut." And 逝者之魂 agrees. In other countries, they make clear what audiences a film is suitable for. But we don't have a film rating in China. So when these films show here, lots of content has to be cut. There are also some more unusual reasons put forward. Qiu Huashun, the boss of a Chinese film company, blames viewing habits. Some films are just too long, maybe 3 hours. Lots of moviegoers don't have the patience to sit in the cinema for that long, so they have to make them shorter. A poster called Park Cai on QQ.com says, "By cutting so much content, these imported films aren't so attractive, and some people probably won't go to the theater to see them. In this way, the censors hope they can make room for silly domestic films."
Well, I'm sure protectionism certainly does exist, but that hardly seems a very efficient way of going about it. Still speaking of protecting domestic films, China recently increased the annual import quota of foreign films from 20 to 34. So have you seen anything about this aspect of the industry here, that protection of the domestic industry?
Well, on this question, most posters don't seem that opposed to the idea. They simply feel some measures go too far. One aspect that's mentioned most frequently is the scheduling of movie release dates. In fact, the phrase domestic movie month is being used more and more in the Chinese media, although the Chinese authorities have never admitted this exists. Many say this is a period where no imported films are shown in theaters, usually during the peak summer period. Here is a comment on Baidu.com. "From last June 21st to last July 21st, only domestic films were allowed to be released. That's why so many foreign films come out late here in China." But most net users believe the most effective way to make Chinese films more attractive would be to loosen up on censorship and the restrictions placed on Chinese filmmakers. I'll finish up with this typical comment from Bi Yuntian. "Now the movie industries of both India and South Korea have surpassed us. That's because they don't have the strict film censorship we have here in China."
Okay, thanks for looking into this for us, Esther. And that was China Take researcher Esther Dung with views from Chinese net users on movie censorship in China. Next here on China Take, some of the top trending phrases on China's most popular search engines. Let's see what's got Chinese net users curious these days.